Harry Kane is forcing a move to Manchester City. Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a brand new transfer update. Once again, just one player to talk about. It's not Jack Grealish. We're still waiting for a confirmation on that, but this time it's our other target, Harry Kane. Let's get right into it. Okay, Luke, so we are well aware that Man City this summer have two prime targets, and the last few days have been specifically focused on Jack Grealish. We did a video a few days ago, did very well. Thank you all for the support and that so much. But this morning we got quite big updates, as well as yesterday morning as well, but today is quite significant because it's the second day in a row that Harry Kane has not turned up for Tottenham training. The whole team are in Hotspur Way preparing for the season. They've got a few friendly games now over the next week to get ready for the beginning of the Premier League season, and Harry Kane, the talisman, is not there, and it would seem that it's in an attempt to force a move to Manchester City. Now, with all the news this morning, there was a lot of tweets, a lot of different sources having their say. With such a high profile transfer, every journalist is going to hop on this. So if some of these tweets contradict each other, that is not our fault. Anyway, Sam Lee says here, Harry Kane does not plan to return to Hotspur Way until he has granted his wish to leave Tottenham. He also says Man City are willing to go as high as £130 million to sign Harry Kane this summer. Sam also says Pep Guardiola has no backup options in mind for Harry Kane this summer, despite having a list of alternative striker options earlier in the year. He only wants Kane at Man City. I say we talk about those first three tweets first, Luke, because Sam Lee is one of the most trusted City sources, and I'm inclined to always agree with what he says. So it seems that Kane is on his second day of not turning up to training, and that City are willing to go up to 130 million. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I said a while ago in a video that I think it would be 135 million around that area. So the fact that we're going up to 130 already tells me that we're trying to sort of narrow Tottenham's bid down already. So I think there's also reports obviously that Kane's going to be coming back this weekend. So I imagine that the talks we might start seeing negotiations properly begin for a deal, hopefully in the next week or not. But yeah, I think this is getting towards now the point where I think Kane's done the right for a move. He's done the right thing by forcing Levy to come out and talk, which is what he needs to do anyway. I think that's with Levy, like anything, he'll want the best deal for him and he'd look the best person out of it. So for me, I think we're getting towards the point now where a deal could be possible now.
It's gonna kind of depend on how much Kane's own camp are willing to sacrifice as well to make this move happen. But it seems like he's a really ambitious guy and he's determined to get this move. I've said before in many videos, he is 28 now, I think as of a few days ago, and it's time that he started challenging for trophies seriously, and he realised that Tottenham, he just isn't going to have the time at Tottenham to do so, even if they do magically become good in a few years' time. But on that note of how much his camp are going to want it, is basically, is his agent going to be willing to sacrifice fees? According to Sammy Mockbell here, who says Man City have discussed restructuring the finances they have for Harry Kane deal by altering the wages and offer or the agent's fee in a bid to increase the amount they can put towards the transfer fee. So if we are to be able to offer 135 million, that may mean Charlie Kane, his brother, has to take a bit of a decrease in his agent fee, or Harry Kane's wages may have to be lowered. So what do you make of that, I suppose? Will Harry Kane be willing to come? Would his brother be willing to put that deal on the table if the money isn't as substantial as they thought it originally would be?
I think the way he'll look at it now is he's gone. I think if he goes any further than this, there's no coming back from this, because even if that deal doesn't materialise and he stays at Tottenham, there's going to be that animosity about him because he's gone against the club, or some of the fans won't like that, and he'll get a lot of bad boos here and there from members, parts of the fan base and that. But I think for him, he has to push his move now to the limit. I think he'll take anything he possibly can now, I think, to get this deal done. I think Charlie will probably do the same for his brother. I think, look, they'll also try and get the best deal that they can, like any agent or player will do out of the situation. Also going to a bigger club as well. So yeah, I imagine it'll be I don't think there'll be much any issue in terms of agent fees or wages. Nothing. I think it'll be pretty straightforward. I'm sure we'll come down to actually negotiating personal terms.
Seems Daniel Levy, who keeps reiterating the point that he doesn't want to sell Kane, does actually have a bit of a game plan with this, and I think it's starting to work. We spoke about this just before we hit record. I think a couple of other people have spoken briefly about this as well, which is that I think Daniel Levy may have actually come to terms with the fact that he is going to lose Harry Kane, but he is doing basically everything he can to make himself look good in the process, which I think the first thing he will do is, and it's looking like it'll go that way, is basically not allowing him to play against us. If a deal does happen, it will not be before the opening day of the Premier League season, which is obviously City versus Spurs down in London. I mean, imagine Kane was to play that game and score a hat-trick against Tottenham. The knives would be out for Daniel Levy. The second one is Levy saying through obviously his Tottenham journalist that he will be imposing fines on Harry Kane for missing these training sessions, basically villainising Harry Kane before he leaves, so that when he does leave, the fans will go, yeah, well done, Mr. Levy up there, you did a fantastic job, you did everything you could to hold on to, but he was just, he was badly behaved and he threw his toys out of the pram. When in reality, how long has Kane given to Tottenham's first team now? 7 odd years? How many goals? Over 200, whatever it is now. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and I think the level-headed Spurs fans, which I'm sure there's plenty of them out there, will all agree that he deserves the opportunity to move on. I don't think I can say the same for Villa Twitter. They've not been very open to the idea of Jack Grealish leaving, but I have seen a fair few Spurs fans saying, you know what, Kane deserves the opportunity to move on. And if this is the way to force a transfer, or the only way to get Levy to make the move, do it. Do you know what I mean? I know it was a bit slower for Luka Modric, but he ultimately got it. It worked for Gareth Bale as well. It worked for Kyle Walker. We know how that turned out. He's willing to brag about it himself, Kyle Walker, with his 3 medals around his neck. So I'm fully with Kane on this. You know what I mean? If your owner is not obviously holding up his end of the gentleman's agreement, which they're generally not worth the paper they're written on, because they're not even written on paper. Still, you've every right to be a bit upset. But we've got 2 final tweets here from Dan KP. Now, these are the 2 contradicting tweets I was on about at the start of the show, which are Harry Kane is thought to be determined to not return to Tottenham as he attempts to force through a transfer to Man City. This was this morning, and we're all going, wow, Kane's really going through with this. Thanks, Dan KP, for the update. But then, like half an hour later, Dan KP says Harry Kane is due back at Tottenham later this week, and the club are aware of his situation. Kane believes the situation has been blown out of proportion. I'm inclined not to agree with the second one for some reason. I don't think Kane, with his levels of professionalism that we know about, would miss training for 2 days in a row and then go, well, this is blown out of proportion, like, amidst of a transfer saga. What do you make of this part, Luke?
Yeah, I think it's just a journalist going back on what he said. I looked at it and I thought, it's just, you have to report one way or the other. You can't just flip-flop with this kind of saga. You've got to be honest about it and factually correct. Obviously, not saying you have to know what he's thinking, but at least you got to know what he's trying to do here. Because for me, he wouldn't do this. And let me try. Obviously, the whole thing about him quarantining, which is fair enough. But even so, I still believe that he would want the move anyway and wouldn't go anyway. So, yeah, I think what it is, it's just journalists, I think, just trying to backtrack on what they're saying, maybe trying to sort of get a little bit of, trying to save face here and there. It's very common, these kind of trackers argues, where journalists will say one thing for 1 hour, and next hour something else completely different. It's just, it's part and parcel of any kind of big move like this. So I think it's just take anything you think you hear with a pinch of salt until you probably know the facts. But I think I'd just be very skeptical on what people are saying here and there at the moment.
Do you think 130 million would do the trick?
I think it would, maybe a little bit more, maybe 135, 140, but I think around that area, definitely. I think it will definitely do it.
It's absolutely mental to think that our little club could do 2 crazy transfers like this. But the thing is, I've seen Alistair Gold saying on his own YouTube channel this morning that the Jack Grealish deal that City are so trying to get done right now, by the sounds of it, is going to affect the money they have for the Kane deal. Is he completely forgetting that we've just raised, 100 odd million through the sale of fringe players, and we could possibly lose Bernardo for 50 odd million, possibly Jesus as well? The club are raising funds because they want to finance these transfers. And I think it's quite exciting. Obviously, this Kane saga will be much more drawn out than the Grealish one. I think the Grealish one we will get some closure to maybe in the next 3-4 days, possibly today or tomorrow, the way it's operating. We don't even know. But the Kane one is going to be much more drawn out, I think. Like I said a few minutes ago, Levy simply won't allow it to happen before the Tottenham Hotspur City game on the open day of the season. And he's going to try to do everything he can to make himself look good, because that's the way he is. He's obviously trying to win over the Tottenham fans as well. He's not in their good books for the last year or so. So it's going to be a difficult one. It's going to be a difficult one, but it's all possible. It's all definitely possible, and we're here for it. We'll keep giving you guys at home updates as we get them. I'm sure you'll see them as well, but it's good to have a conversation about them. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and we'd love to know what you think. Do you think Grealish will get done? Do you think Kane will get done? Could we get neither? Hopefully not. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. We're now 8 subscribers off our target, which wasn't even our original target for the summer, of 350 subs. So thank you so much for the support. The last video went mental. It was absolutely amazing. So yeah, subscribe if you're new. First watch along of the season is going to be this Saturday, City versus Leicester Community Shield. I'm not sure which two of us it'll be. I will definitely be there. I don't know if I'll be with Luke, Dara, or Joe, but we'll have a watch along. Come along and join us. We'll see you then. Enjoy the rest of your day.